What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Bill. This is Steve.
Hey everybody.
And this is Steve's Bronco. It is a first edition, so I assume 2021.
Yes.
And beautiful blue color, and we're going to do some installations on that. The first being Mishimoto Cold Air Intake. Looks like it is the dry filter, dry cleanable filter, and we're going to go ahead and get that installed and see how it looks. I did a video on the engine one, which is very similar, and this was kind of the other one I was considering, so I'm looking forward to getting this installed and seeing what the differences are, if there are many, and seeing how it goes. We also are going to do a rough country winch install. I'll probably do a separate video for that, but first things first, we need to take the old OEM stock Airbox out. We're going to replace this charge pipe and down to the turbo inlet right there. So basically we're replacing all of this, and from the turbo over to, I believe, here. I know the engine one went all the way down and replaced all the way to the turbo. I think this one stops here, which is fine by me because the replacement of that part down to the turbo was not very fun. So getting from here over shouldn't be too bad. So let's go ahead and start digging into it. All right, so first thing, just gotta take this little pin out. Let me grab a, and these just pop out. So just these 4 bolts, which are a T30, and the top come out. Expose your OEM filter, and there's a quick comparison of the 2 filters side by side. So I get a little bit more air surface with the new filter. All right, so now we're going to, we got to pull these Christmas trees out so they're not sitting on, we're not pulling and breaking things, hopefully. Although that seems like that plastic just wants to break before the Christmas tree pulls out. There we go, got that one. Got one here. There's another down here. You can unplug this. You can try to unplug that. There we go. And then this wire comes over to the blow-off valve. Let's just go over these studs. Actually, we don't even have to disconnect that. You got to remove this. Just go ahead and unplug this, and we're good. Now we have this whole wiring harness disconnected and pulled back. We can loosen these worm gears on both sides and disconnect those. Now the only thing holding this box in is there's a screw right here, and down at the bottom there's this like a little nipple that pops in there. It feels like it's screwed in or something, but it'll pop out. And then that is probably an 8 or 7 millimeter. Ah, got it. That is an 8 millimeter. Screw out, and then this shit, there we go. Actually, yours didn't fight too much. So now the rest of that can come out, and that's the little nipple I was saying. It goes down in there. All right, so next we need to remove the rest of this charge pipe on this side. There's another Christmas tree here, and then this clamp on the turbo. And then there's a 10mm bolt, which it's underneath and impossible to see, but it holds this piece on too. So I'm gonna pull that Christmas tree off, open that clamp, and then get a 10mm in there. Hopefully, not too much trouble. Yeah, there's a pretty nicely sized bolt down there holding that on. Now we need to get some clamps on there, and I'm assuming this is what you're saying you didn't have the tool for, but I don't have the specialty tool for it either, but I gotta. Oh, then there's a pretty thick clamp on here that it's hard to get the right angle on. There we go. That clamp is what you're trying to fight against, and I've seen a lot of posts about that. People look down and see this and think it's crushed. It's actually designed that way. So if you look in your engine bay and see what looks like a collapsed hose, it's actually designed. Don't know why, but it's like that. Alright, now we need to move this top charge pipe. That's not being replaced, but it's currently in our way, so we're going to have to pull that out of our way. 8mm here. Another over here. And then one back here as well. Maybe that's not any easier. That should pop out now. That should pop out from there. And that should pull out. We need to save this. That's going back in. And I think we just need to loosen that worm gear and pull it out. One last worm gear right there. Loosen up. Alright, so now this should just pull out of there. Oh, missed one. After you remove this other 8mm. There we go. And this is the part that we're replacing. So this gets replaced with Mishimoto one, which not a huge difference. But a bit of one. That's it. Everything that needed to come apart is now apart. Now we start putting things together and reinstalling. Alright, so next it has us putting the air filter and the airbox together. And that is just going to fit over this. That'll go on there, and then we just tighten that worm clamp, and then that'll fit into the airbox. Alright, now we got the filter clamped on there. I need to press this in there, which is easier said than done. And that's going to be our new airbox. Rotate like so, I believe. Maybe the other way. We'll figure that out. Now we need to go to our old airbox, and there's our sensor here. We're going to need to pull out of there. Again, easier said than done. Try not to crush the connector, but you have to push in and twist to get it to unlock. And I can't quite get a grip on there to do so. And there we go. It's just, you gotta twist it to get it out, and you gotta have to push it a little bit to be able to twist it. And now that should, in this piece here, it's just should just twist in there. All right, so we got that in after fighting with it, and then it finally just slid in and snapped into place. Now on this back side is where it's going to attach, where the OEM box did, but we have to install this little clamp here, or bracket, and figure out which. There's 2 bags of screws, but it doesn't say which one's which. So this would be our screws, and they are very small hex head. It is, I don't even know what it says. That is 2.5 millimeter. I really try not to drop these. It does provide some adjustment if you need to. Well, just try to center it and hopefully that works, and if not, we can adjust it. Now we need one more thing from the stock Airbox, which is going to be this grommet right here. Got a metal insert, and then I purposely did this away from the engine bay. And it still flung in there. Well, the rubber will go right back in this bracket we just installed. And now we need to find the piece of aluminum, so it's not even going to be magnetic or anything, where you just stick a magnet in there. All right, now after fishing the piece of metal out of the engine, that just slides in there, and then you need to put the feet on the bottom, which everything is a bag in a bag. Well, I guess now we see what the big screws are for. So attach those like so. And then we had the 2 longer screws, which now makes sense because we're gonna fit in there to attach these. And these will definitely snap in a little bit into those grommets down underneath. It looks like this one does have a drain hole, which that was one thing I noted on the engine, that there was no drain hole. So if water ever got in there, it would just fill up because there wasn't a drain hole like this one does have. So that's a good thing. I mean, if you ever filling up your Airbox with water, you probably have other issues, but it'd be good to know that it would drain if that's the case. All right, now this should just sit down. There we go, pops down in there. And we have our original 8mm bolt that was holding the OEM Airbox in. Alright, there we go. Airbox is in. Now we just gotta reconnect the other things. The directions don't give a whole lot more other than basically reverse everything that you did but install the new stuff. But we're going to have news hose here, which is going to connect this pipe here to the turbo, and I assume use these clamps. So this came with 2 hose clamps, one this size, one this size. You need this size for this side and this side for the turbo, but you need 2 for each thing. So took this clamp off OEM turbo side to reuse, because the instruction sounds like it was supposed to come with 2 of each of these, but it only came with 1 of each, so we're gonna have to borrow from the old clamp. Slide those on there for now. And this might have been easier to get the one side on first before sticking. And there are 2 sides apparently. This side's a little bit bigger than this side, so this side's got to go to the tube and this side to the turbo. So I'll switch those around. And yeah, this probably would have been easier to put this on first. If you're watching this before you do that, it'd be much easier to install this hose before you stick the airbox in there. So that's in there. I'm not going to tighten those clamps yet until we get everything in place. So now we're going to have our replacement piece, which is where we're going to need the bigger hose clamp, and hopefully there's a piece on the part we took off that we can steal from, because we're going to need another one. Alright, so yep. I just thought, so yeah, there was another clamp on the old piece that is going to be a tight fit. All right, so now it still doesn't want to slide over that. Try to get enough room in here to get that over without having it come apart and not be able to get back together. Hopefully it'll go back without too much trouble. There wasn't much play in that clamp, but it's on there. This ends in all the way around. I feel much more confident with the that than I do the flathead screwdriver. All right, so now got 8 millimeter.
The shock is still on there.
And they included their own bolts here. Take those out. Alright, so now we just need to put the other charge pipe back in. You guys are bound and determined, huh? And make sure those clips are in. Make sure this clip is in. Reused one of the 3 bolts. It replaced 2 of these bolts on its own, and so just one. So when we have extra bolts, it's not because we forgot anything, it's because those are 10 millimeter now, I believe. All right. These are our 2 extra screws. If we have more than this when we're done, something was wrong. Well, actually, no. There is a third one. That long bolt for the piece holding the charge pipe. So 3 extra bolts. And I need to put this clamp back where it belongs. So we have our blow-off valve we need to reconnect. Our air temperature sensor to reconnect. Now this is missing some of the Christmas tree spots that the old one had. Yep. All right. So we just have that one that was over here that doesn't have a home anymore. Something over here just to keep that from touching anything. And then we need to get our air inlet, and this just pops off. It's got 2 little clips there and one on the bottom, but the top ones normally just pop right off. But, yeah, you can see right there the 2 clips. There's 1 clip underneath and one there, and just kind of snaps on there. Apparently yours does not like me. And then this does have the water trap or debris trap, so if water comes in through the intake, it should empty it out there before it gets to your air box. But and then we got our pin, which goes right back in like so and closes. We'll get our tools out of here. 3 extra screws together and out of the way. Make sure they're not flopping around, rubbing on anything. And go through, double check, make sure everything's connected and tight. But that should be it. Oh, yeah, it's not. I never did tighten these worm gears down here. So good. That's why we go back through, just to make sure. This got a lot of extra. Connected to the turbo, turbo's connected to the inlet, inlet's connected, that's connected, blow-off valve's connected, sensors connected. Double check these. All right. I'll go ahead and start it up. Make sure no check engine light or anything crazy popping up. Make sure it sounds good. Give it a couple of revs. It's not much louder than some intakes are. I know that engine one's pretty loud.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, this one I didn't even really notice much. So you have to let me know on your ride home if you notice any.
Yeah, for sure.
It's supposed to be better gas mileage, a little bit more horsepower. I forget what they said, like 15 or something like that.
Yeah,
with
like
these.
15, 20. Yeah.
But we'll see. But yeah, I know that, like I said, the engine one's really loud, like especially with everything else. Like when I'm driving, I can hear like the blow-off valves and everything going through it, and like, yeah, whereas like before I'd never heard any of that. But I guess that's going to go ahead and wrap up the install for the Mishimoto Cold Air Intake. If you have any questions, let me know. These actually are, by the time I post this video, I will have these available on the site as well. So if you're interested, check out EvilleTruck.com and you can pick one of these up for yourselves. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Steve, thanks for coming out and let me work on your Bronco, and let me know how you like it.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you. That's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. If you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.